Fáilte go dtí an toras fíorúil seo a ginsear scéal Luachán Tourmakeady. Bé an leagan gaeilge fáil amachchan seo. You are welcome to the virtual tour of the Tourmakeady Ambush sites. I hope you enjoy the journey. By the end of April, the War of Independence was at its height. The men and women of South Mayo were preparing to take on the might of the British Empire. This is a short version of their efforts.
The village of Tourmakeady lies on the western side of Lough Mask in County Mayo. The main road leads north from Tourmakeady to Shra and south to Derry Park and Mamtrasna, where a fork goes eastward to Finney, where it turns north toward Cong, Cross and eventually Ballinrobe. A western road goes over the mountains towards Westport. The remote mountains on the western shores of Lough Mask were scoured by movements of massive melting ice at the end of the last ice age. The contrast of the high, rugged mountains on the west side of Lough Mask with the flat plains of Mayo on the east mark the area as a scenic jewel.
The area around Lough Mask had had a troubled time between the famine and the War of Independence. Tourmakeady and the parish of Ballyovey were to be the site of a campaign of proselytisation led by Lord Plunkett, Church of Ireland Archbishop of Tuam, and the Irish Church Mission Society. The forceful and aggressive conversion of Catholics was not appreciated by the clergy or their flock and resulted in passive resistance, which soon led to open hostilities and even murder. Alexander Harrison, a Protestant employee of Bishop Plunkett from County Monaghan, was killed in mysterious circumstances in 1861. The local curate at the time, Father Lavelle, radicalised the population into resistance against the Plunkett family, who, seen as representatives of both the landlord class and the established religion, were a feared and hated family referred to as oppressive and bigoted landlords.
On the eastern shores of the lake, near Ballinrobe and Cross, the Land League agitation that surrounded the figure of land agent Captain Boycott took place in early 1880. Agitation against landlords and their agents in this area is further evidenced in the murder of an agent of Lord Ardilaun and his grandson on the southern shores of the lake in January 1882. It is no surprise then that the Lough Mask region saw one of the most colourful engagements of the War of Independence. It is not clear whether the Republican movement in Ballinrobe formally existed before the 1916 Rising. A branch of Fianna Éireann was set up in 1916. There is a story of 3 men going up Main Street in the summer of 1916 with a lighted torch, honouring the men of the Rising, to the amusement of the local constabulary. A meeting in Donnellan's Wood, just outside Ballinrobe in 1918, is credited as being the start of Óglaigh na hÉireann Ballinrobe Company, which by the end of 1918 had grown to a strength of over 30 men. A second company was formed in Cross by Tom Maguire, born in 1892, the fourth of 11 children. His father had been active in the Fenians and the Land League, and Tom joined the volunteers in 1913. Tom Maguire states, "When the conscription crisis of April 1918 broke, we were flooded out with recruits. I welcomed them in, but thought I should test them out on a few route marches. That finished most of them. They melted away." There is a story told of a man at stations here in Cross who was asked by the priest in confession, "Were you ever in the IRA?" Excommunication was the price of membership. "I was indeed," answered the man, "but Tom Maguire brought us on a few marches for a couple of nights and I could not keep up with him." In 1920, Mayo was divided into 4 brigades. In 1921, Tom Maguire set up the South Mayo Flying Column, made up of approximately 25 men, mainly from Cross and Ballinrobe.